Welcome back to English Echo Stories, my friend. Today we are sharing one of the most inspiring stories in the world of sport, the journey of Lionel Messi. He was a small boy from Rosario, Argentina, who faced big challenges but never let them stop him. From playing barefoot in the streets to lifting the World Cup, Messi's story is not just about football, it is about hope, courage, and never giving up. Chapter 1. A small boy, a big dream. Have you ever felt too small, too weak, or too ordinary to chase your dreams? Maybe you looked at others and thought, I can never do that. This is exactly how the world saw a little boy named Lionel Messi growing up in a small city called Rosario in Argentina. He was quiet, shy, and smaller than the other children. His body did not grow as quickly as theirs, and sometimes it seems that even running and playing came harder for him. People whispered that he might never be strong enough to play football at a high level. But inside Messi, something else was growing, something much bigger than his small frame. A dream, a dream so bright, so alive, that no one could ignore it. Every time he touched a football, the world around him disappeared. He imagined himself on the biggest fields, scoring goals, winning matches, and inspiring millions. Even when others doubted him, he could see the possibility of greatness. Messi's story begins here, in the streets and parks of Rosario, where he kicked an old, worn-out ball with friends. They laughed, they fell, they played until the sun disappeared behind the rooftops. Yet, unlike the other children, Messi always dreamed further. He imagined the cheers of stadiums, the pride of his family, and the joy of achieving something no one expected from him. This is the story of a boy who was small in size but enormous in heart. It is a story about courage, hope, and the power of believing in yourself, even when the world seems against you. And it begins not with glory, not with trophies, but with a quiet boy who refused to let his size define his destiny. Chapter 2. Rosario Childhood. In the city of Rosario, Argentina, the streets were narrow, dusty, and alive with the sounds of children laughing and shouting as they played football. Among them ran a small boy with bright eyes and a worn-out ball, dribbling with skill that seemed impossible for someone his size. This boy was Lionel Messi. From the earliest days, the ball was more than just a toy. It was his companion, his friend, and the first step toward a dream he could hardly put into words. Messi's days began with the sun rising over the rooftops and ended only when the streetlights flickered on. Rain or shine, he was there, weaving between friends, inventing new moves, and imagining himself on the largest fields in the world. Each kick, each pass, each goal filled him with joy. For Messi, football was not just a game, it was freedom, expression, and the first taste of what it felt like to be truly alive. But beneath the laughter and the joy, there was worry. Messi's parents noticed that their son was smaller than other children his age. While friends grew taller and stronger, Messi remained tiny, fragile in appearance, though fierce in spirit. Everyday activities that seemed simple for others sometimes required extra effort from him. At first, they thought it might just be a late growth spurt, but as months passed, the concern deepened. Doctors in Rosario eventually gave the family difficult news. Messi had a growth hormone deficiency. Without proper treatment, he would remain smaller than his peers, and his dream of playing professional football could become impossible. The treatment could help him grow, but it was expensive. far beyond what the family could afford. His parents faced a painful choice: hope against hope, or accept the limits that medicine and money imposed. For Messi, this was a moment of fear he could not fully understand. He just wanted to play, to run, to score goals. He did not yet know the weight of the challenge that lay ahead. The streets of Rosario, once full of carefree laughter, now carried a quiet worry that followed him even onto the football field. Every time he kicked the ball, he felt the tug of both joy and fear, the joy of what he could do and the fear of what might never be. Yet even in this struggle, Messi's determination only grew stronger. He did not complain, did not stop playing, and did not let the shadow of illness dim his love for the game. In fact, it seemed to fuel him. While other children played for fun, Messi played as if every touch of the ball could shape his future. He dreamed not just of goals, but of a life where his size and condition would not define him. His parents, Maria and Jorge, became his quiet heroes. They worked tirelessly, looking for any way to support their son's dream. They consulted doctors, explored every possibility, and never gave up on finding a solution. Their belief in Messi's potential was as strong as Messi's own passion. The family shared moments of both hope and despair, holding on to the smallest signs of progress, always encouraging him to keep playing, keep dreaming, keep believing. The streets of Rosario witnessed this boy who refused to be limited. Passers-by would sometimes stop and watch as tiny Messi outmaneuvered children much bigger than him. His speed, his control, and his vision on the ball seemed to say that the size of the body did not determine the size of the dream. Each goal he scored in the dusty fields, each creative pass, became a quiet rebellion against the limits set by illness and circumstance. But as much as football brought happiness, the reality of his condition loomed over every step. The dreams that seemed so close on the streets of Rosario now felt fragile. Could a small boy from a humble city really make it to the world's greatest stages? Could he compete with those who were bigger, faster, stronger? The contrast between his joy on the ball and the fear of the future created a tension that made every moment both magical and uncertain. And then, in the midst of these challenges, a new hope appeared. Word of Messi's talent began to travel beyond Rosario. Scouts from one of the greatest football clubs in the world, FC Barcelona, heard whispers about the small boy who could do things on the ball that even older players struggled to do. They had not yet seen him in person, but the stories of his skill, determination, and heart were enough to spark their curiosity. Messi's family could hardly imagine it. Could someone so young, so small, and facing such a serious health challenge truly have a chance to be seen by the world? Yet the possibility began to plant a seed of hope, a bridge from the streets of Rosario to the vast stadiums of Europe. A new chapter was about to begin, one that would demand courage, sacrifice, and the unwavering belief that a dream could grow even in the most unlikely conditions. And so, as Messi continued to run, dribble, and dream on the dusty streets of his city, the first doors of opportunity quietly opened, waiting for a boy whose heart was far bigger than the obstacles before him. Chapter 3: A Chance in Barcelona. Life was about to change for Lionel Messi in a way he could never have imagined. One day a letter arrived that would alter the course of his young life. FC Barcelona, one of the greatest football clubs in the world, had noticed him. They offered a place in their famous youth academy La Masia, and even more importantly, they would pay for the expensive treatment that could help him grow. For Messi and his family, it was a dream come true, but it came with a heavy cost. To accept the opportunity, Messi and his family would have to leave everything behind. Their home in Rosario, their friends, and the familiar streets where he had played football for hours every day. It was a chance that carried both hope and fear. At just 13 years old, Messi was stepping into the unknown. The plane that took him and his father to Spain was not just a flight across continents, it was a passage into a new world filled with possibility, but also loneliness. Arriving in Barcelona, the city felt enormous and strange. Everything was different. The language, the streets, the smells, and even the way people smiled and spoke. Messi could not understand the words around him, and at first no one could understand him. In the academy, the other boys were bigger, stronger, and spoke a language he had not yet learned. The silence weighed on him. Eating meals alone, walking to training without friends, and trying to adapt to a new culture made every day a quiet struggle. There were nights when he missed Argentina deeply, thinking of his mother, father, and friends. Sometimes he wondered if he had made a mistake. Yet when Messi stepped onto the training pitch, everything changed. The ball felt alive beneath his feet, as if it knew exactly where to go. He could dribble past players twice his size, pass with precision, and see opportunities others could not. On the field, he was not small or weak, he was unstoppable. The coaches began to notice his extraordinary talent, and his teammates slowly realized that this quiet boy from Argentina had something truly special. The football pitch became his refuge, a place where language and loneliness could not reach him. Messi worked harder than anyone. While other children slept or played, he stayed late, practicing dribbles, shots, and passes. The pain of treatment for his growth hormone deficiency was real and sometimes exhausting, but he endured it without complaint. Every injection, every visit to the clinic, every challenge became a step toward his dream. The contrast was striking. Off the field, he felt lonely and vulnerable, but on the field, he shone brighter than anyone around him. The support of his family remained essential. His father stayed by his side, navigating the new city, advocating for him, and offering comfort when homesickness hit hardest. His mother and brothers sent letters and calls whenever they could. Their love reminded Messi that, even far from home, he was not alone. This balance of struggle and support shaped him into someone not only talented, but also resilient, humble, and focused. Slowly, Messi began to adjust. He learned the language bit by bit, made friends with those who shared his passion, and started to understand the rhythms of life in Barcelona. Yet the football pitch always remained the center of his world. It was there that his confidence grew, and where he could express himself fully without fear. Each match, each practice, each goal was a quiet triumph over the loneliness and challenges surrounding him. This period in Barcelona planted the seeds of greatness. Messi was no longer just the small boy from Rosario. He was becoming a player who could inspire, amaze, and lead. The academy provided him with the tools, but it was his determination, love for the game, and refusal to be defined by fear or circumstance that allowed him to rise. Every day he balanced the tension of a lonely life with the brilliance of his talent, proving that challenges and dreams could coexist and even fuel one another. And so, As Messi trained under the Spanish sun, he was slowly stepping closer to his first real breakthrough. The boy who had once felt too small for the streets of Rosario was now preparing to face the world. His heart remained full of hope, his mind focused on the game, and his feet ready to turn possibility into reality. From the quiet struggles in a foreign land to moments of brilliance on the pitch, the journey of Lionel Messi was only beginning. Chapter 4: Becoming a Star. Lionel Messi journey from a lonely boy in Spain to a football superstar took a giant leap when he made his debut for Barcelona's first team. He was still a teenager, small in size and quiet in nature, but on the pitch he carried the heart and skill of someone much bigger. The stadium lights, the roar of the crowd, and the weight of expectation could have been overwhelming for any young player. For Messi, it was a moment of both fear and opportunity, a chance to prove that all the struggles, pain, and sacrifices had led to this very instant. The first time he stepped onto the pitch, Messi felt a mixture of nerves and excitement. He remembered the dusty streets of Rosario, the long hours of practice in La Masia, and the pain of his treatments. He thought of his family, who had risked everything to help him follow his dream. And in that moment, something inside him shifted. The fear of being too small, too weak, or too inexperienced began to fade. The ball at his feet felt like a familiar friend, ready to help him show the world what he could do. One of Messi's greatest allies during this time was Ronaldinho, a football legend whose skill and joy inspired everyone around him. Ronaldinho saw something unique in Messi, a fearless creativity and natural talent that could not be taught. He encouraged the young boy to trust himself, to play with freedom, and to let his instincts guide him. With guidance from such a mentor, Messi's confidence grew. He started to take risks, weaving past defenders with speed and precision, and striking the ball with accuracy that belied his age. Messi's first goals were moments of magic. The crowd erupted not just for the score, but for the brilliance, grace, and determination they witnessed in every touch he made. Fans began to notice that this quiet, small boy from Argentina was unlike anyone else. He moved differently, thought differently, and played differently. Each goal, each assist, each moment of vision on the field told a story of a boy who had refused to let his size define him. Off the field, life remained a balancing act. Messi still had to complete his treatments, adjust to the pressures of fame, and cope with the expectations of the football world. Yet these challenges seemed smaller when compared to the joy of playing the game he loved. His passion and resilience turned every obstacle into an opportunity to grow, and every match into a chance to prove himself. The contrast between Messi's small frame and his unstoppable talent became the defining image of his early career. He was living proof that determination, practice, and belief could overcome limitations that seemed insurmountable. Where others might see weakness, Messi's coaches and teammates began to see brilliance. Where critics saw fragility, fans saw genius. And where the boy himself once doubted his own potential, he now understood the power of hard work and courage. Word of Messi's talent began to spread beyond Barcelona. Commentators, journalists, and football lovers around the world started to watch this young prodigy with fascination. People whispered that he could be one of the greatest players of his generation, someone who would change the game forever. And yet, Messi remained humble, focusing not on fame, but on the joy of football and the endless pursuit of improvement. As he rose to stardom, new challenges also appeared. The pressure to perform, comparisons with other great players, and the expectations of fans and coaches created a world where every game carried immense weight. Success was no longer measured just by skill, but by consistency, mental strength, and the ability to handle both praise and criticism. Messi's journey had shifted from proving he could play at the highest level to proving he could maintain greatness. This period marked the true transformation of Messi. The small boy who once struggled with size and illness was now unstoppable on the football pitch. He had moved from quiet determination to global recognition, from hidden talent to celebrated brilliance. The joy of scoring goals and creating moments of magic on the field was balanced by the responsibilities and battles that came with being a star. And so Messi's story continued, moving from the thrill of debut goals to the heavier tests of professional life. Success had arrived, but it brought with it a new chapter filled with challenges, rivalries, and the pressure to remain extraordinary. The next stage of his journey would reveal how the boy from Rosario handled these pressures, continued to grow, and prepared to face even greater trials on the world stage. Chapter 5: Glory and Rivalries. As Lionel Messi grew into a star, his life became a whirlwind of victories, trophies, and global recognition. He was no longer the small boy from Rosario. He was a name known around the world. Every season brought new challenges, and with each challenge, Messi responded with skill, determination, and a quiet confidence that amazed fans. He lifted Barcelona to countless victories, scoring goals that seemed impossible, assisting teammates with extraordinary vision, and breaking records that had stood for decades. Messi's talent created moments that felt magical. When he dribbled past defenders, the stadium held its breath. When he scored, fans erupted with joy. Every goal became a story, every match a stage where he could display the brilliance that had been nurtured since his childhood. Yet alongside the applause and trophies, Messi faced challenges that reminded everyone, even him, that he was human. Injuries came unexpectedly, leaving him sidelined and frustrated. Pressure mounted as fans and critics expected perfection. Every mistake, every missed opportunity became a headline. One of the defining elements of this period was Messi's rivalry with Cristiano Ronaldo. Both were extraordinary athletes, pushing each other to new heights. Media around the world debated endlessly about who was better. Every match between their teams became a battle not only for points, but for legacy and pride. This rivalry brought excitement, but it also intensified pressure on Messi. Comparisons were constant, and the spotlight never faded. He had to maintain focus, confidence, and humility while the world scrutinized his every move. Even with the weight of expectation, Messi continued to shine. Each record he broke, whether becoming Barcelona's top scorer, winning multiple Ballon d'Or awards, or setting new league records, demonstrated his relentless drive. Off the pitch, however, he experienced the same vulnerabilities anyone faces. Pain from injuries, fatigue from intense seasons, and the weight of public opinion reminded him that greatness came with cost. The contrast between his public heroism and private struggle was clear. The world saw genius, but behind the celebrations were moments of doubt, exhaustion, and fear of failure. Despite these struggles, Messi's love for football never wavered. He played not for fame or accolades, but for the joy of the game, the thrill of creation, and the desire to honor the sacrifices his family had made. His humility remained intact, even as the world hailed him as one of the greatest players ever. Each victory was bittersweet, carrying the weight of effort, resilience, and personal challenge. This period also revealed Messi's mental strength. The attention, criticism, and comparisons could have overwhelmed a less grounded player, but he continued to focus on what he could control: his preparation, his attitude, and his love for football. He learned to balance the celebration of success with the acceptance of struggle, understanding that both were part of the journey. However, as glorious as this era was for Barcelona, it also highlighted a tension in Messi's career. While he was adored in Spain, the national team presented different challenges. Argentina's fans longed for international triumph, and every tournament carried the weight of a nation's hope. No amount of European glory could fully prepare Messi for the heartbreaks that awaited him with his homeland. The joy of scoring, winning trophies, and breaking records contrasted sharply with the pressure, criticism, and expectation he would soon face with Argentina. As Messi lifted yet another trophy and celebrated with his teammates, there was always a whisper in the background. Could these achievements translate to international glory? Could the small boy who had conquered Barcelona also conquer the world with Argentina? The stage was set for new challenges, and the next chapter of Messi's story would take him from the heights of club success to the heartbreak and struggles of representing his country. Through victories and rivalries, Messi had proven that talent, hard work, and resilience could create greatness. But even a global hero could face human struggles, injuries, doubts, and relentless pressure that tested character and courage. These moments shaped him, prepared him, and reminded the world that behind the brilliance was a boy who had never stopped believing in himself, no matter how high the stakes. And so, as the cheers faded and the trophies gathered dust, Messi turned his attention to the one stage where the challenge would be greatest: the pitch of international football, where hope, expectation, and heartbreak awaited. Chapter 6: Heartbreak with Argentina. Even the greatest heroes face moments of deep disappointment, and for Lionel Messi, representing Argentina became one of the hardest challenges of his life. While he was adored in Barcelona, celebrated as a genius, and carried trophies and records home every season, his journey with the national team was far more difficult. Argentina loved him, but the love came with enormous expectation. Every tournament, every final, every touch of the ball carried the weight of a nation's hopes. And sometimes Messi felt that the world he had conquered in Spain was far away from the harsh scrutiny he faced at home. Messi's first heartbreaks with Argentina were subtle, almost invisible to outsiders. He played brilliantly in tournaments, yet the team fell short. The Copa America finals, the World Cup finals, he reached them again and again, only to face defeat. Each loss brought disappointment not only to the fans, but to Messi himself. He felt the sting of responsibility deeply, as if every failure were his personal fault. The cheers of Barcelona could not erase the silence of a stadium filled with unmet expectations in Argentina. The media was relentless. Newspapers, television, and online commentators debated every move he made, questioning his leadership and his ability to deliver victories for his country. People who once celebrated his genius began to doubt him. Even some fans whispered criticism, and the pressure grew unbearable. For a boy who had spent his life proving himself against impossible odds, this doubt was a heavy burden. He had carried the hopes of his family, his friends, and his club. Now he was carrying the dreams of an entire nation. The emotional toll was immense. Messi cried after defeats, sometimes alone in quiet moments, feeling the gap between expectation and reality. He questioned himself, wondering if he could ever succeed with Argentina. In one of the most shocking decisions of his career, he announced his retirement from international football. It was a moment of despair, a break from a dream he had pursued since he was a small boy in Rosario. For Messi, the decision was not about talent or ability. It was about the weight of pressure, criticism, and heartbreak that seemed impossible to carry any longer. Yet even in these moments of sadness, Messi's resilience began to shine. Deep down, he could not walk away from the game he loved, or from the chance to make his country proud. The love for football, the memories of dusty streets in Rosario, and the belief in his own abilities reminded him why he started this journey. Slowly he returned, motivated not just by personal glory, but by the chance to heal the disappointment of his fans and to prove that perseverance could overcome despair. Messi's struggles with Argentina revealed a new side of him. He was no longer just a footballing genius. He was human, vulnerable, and deeply empathetic to the hopes of others. Learners and viewers can relate to this feeling. Working hard, giving your best, yet facing criticism and setbacks despite your efforts. Messi showed that even the strongest people experience doubt, but true strength comes from continuing, learning, and believing in oneself. Through these trials, he grew mentally stronger. The contrast between being loved and celebrated at Barcelona and doubted and criticized at home shaped him, teaching lessons of patience, humility, and emotional endurance. He learned that success is not always immediate, and that even heroes must endure pain to achieve their goals. His heartbreaks did not define him. Instead, they prepared him for something far greater. And so, after years of disappointment, tears, and public scrutiny, a new chapter began quietly. Messi returned to Argentina's squad, carrying the lessons of failure and the fire of determination. The heartbreaks had not broken him, they had strengthened him, shaping a player and a person ready for redemption. The story was far from over. The boy who had once carried only his small dreams in Rosario now carried the hopes of a nation, tempered by loss, but strengthened by resilience. And with that resilience, a remarkable comeback was about to begin, one that would finally bring the joy, triumph, and fulfillment Messi had long deserved. Chapter 7: The Comeback and the World Cup. For a year, Lionel Messi had carried the weight of expectation. Every match with Argentina brought pressure that few could understand. The heartbreaks, the finals lost, the criticism, the sense of falling short despite giving his all, had marked his journey. Yet through all the pain, Messi's love for football and his determination never wavered. He knew that one day, his persistence could transform struggle into triumph, that the tears of defeat could become tears of joy. That day began to arrive in 2021. In the Copa America of 2021, Messi led Argentina to the final with a mixture of brilliance and quiet leadership. Each match reflected his growth as a player and as a person. He was no longer just the small boy with extraordinary talent. He was the captain, the guiding force, and the heart of the team. Fans around the world watched as he scored, assisted, and inspired, showing not only skill, but courage under pressure. The memories of past heartbreaks, the losses, the criticism, the self-doubt seemed to fuel him rather than weigh him down. When Argentina finally lifted the Copa America trophy, Messi's emotions overflowed. Tears ran freely down his face as the joy of victory collided with the memories of years of near misses and disappointment. It was more than a trophy. It was validation, a confirmation that perseverance, patience, and belief in oneself could overcome even the heaviest burdens. For Messi, this was the first taste of redemption on the international stage. Yet the ultimate challenge still awaited. The 2022 World Cup in Qatar presented Messi with the final frontier of his career. The stakes were immense. The hopes of his nation, the echoes of past heartbreaks, and the weight of personal and collective dreams converged in a single tournament. Messi's preparation was meticulous, his focus absolute. On the field, he moved with precision and grace, yet every match carried a subtle tension. Each pass, each shot, each defensive move could bring triumph or heartbreak. The contrast between years of near misses and the possibility of ultimate victory made every moment electric for him and for millions of fans around the world. As the tournament progressed, Messi's leadership shone. He scored, assisted, and inspired his teammates to give their best. Off the field, his humility and focus set an example for all. For young players watching, he became proof that even after failure, persistence and dedication could lead to extraordinary achievement. The emotional intensity of the matches, the roar of the fans, and the tears shed during difficult moments reminded everyone that victory is not only about skill, it is about resilience, courage, and heart. The final match of the World Cup was a moment for history. Messi played with brilliance, composure, and determination, guiding Argentina through a tense and thrilling game. When the final whistle blew and Argentina was crowned world champion, Messi's emotions could no longer be contained. He sank to his knees, crying with joy, relief, and fulfillment. The boy who had once struggled with illness, poverty, and doubt had reached the pinnacle of football. His lifelong dream, the dream that had begun in the dusty streets of Rosario, was realized. The celebrations were breathtaking. Fans poured into the streets, waving flags, chanting, and crying alongside their hero. Messi hugged his teammates, lifted the trophy high, and gazed at the sky, as if remembering all the obstacles he had overcome. Every setback, every criticism, every heartbreak over the years had led to this one moment. It was a triumph not only for Messi, but for everyone who had ever faced failure and refused to give up. Messi's journey to this ultimate victory also revealed the power of contrast in life. Years of disappointment had made this moment of triumph even sweeter. The struggles, the tears, and the weight of expectation had not diminished him. They had prepared him. He had learned that setbacks are temporary, that resilience and passion can transform pain into greatness. For anyone watching, the lesson was clear. Even the greatest challenges can lead to the most extraordinary success. Beyond the personal joy, the World Cup win cemented Messi's legacy in football history. He had not only conquered his own doubts and fears, but he had brought glory to a nation that had waited decades for this moment. His story inspired young players around the world to dream, work hard, and believe in themselves, no matter the obstacles. It was a reminder that true greatness is measured not only by talent, but by perseverance, humility, and heart. For Messi, the journey did not end with the trophy. The World Cup was a culmination, a moment of fulfillment, but also a beginning of reflection. He had achieved the dream he had carried since childhood, yet he remained grounded, humble, and committed to the game he loved. The triumphs on the pitch were inseparable from the lessons of struggle, the courage to face criticism, and the ability to rise after disappointment. And so, as Messi lifted the World Cup and looked into the eyes of millions of fans, he carried not just a trophy, but a story of resilience, hope, and triumph. The small boy from Rosario had become a legend, but more importantly, he had shown the world that dreams are possible when courage, determination, and heart guide the way. The journey of heartbreak and persistence had led to ultimate triumph, setting the stage for the final chapter, a legacy that extends far beyond football itself. Chapter 8: Legacy and Lesson for Us. Lionel Messi's story is about more than football. Yes, he is one of the greatest players the world has ever seen, a man who has scored goals that seem impossible, won trophies that many can only dream of, and inspired millions with his talent. But beyond the stadiums, the records, and the applause, Messi's true greatness lies in who he is as a person: humble, family-centered, and endlessly inspiring. Despite all his success, Messi has never forgotten his roots. He values family above everything. His parents, his brothers, and his own children are central to his life. He celebrates victories quietly with those he loves, and even in moments of global fame, he remains grounded. This humility makes him relatable. It shows that greatness does not require arrogance or pride. It requires heart, discipline, and kindness. Messi's journey reminds us that talent alone is never enough. It is the combination of skill, effort, and character that shapes a true legend. Messi's life is also a story of resilience. From a small boy with a growth hormone deficiency to a lonely teenager in a foreign country to facing heartbreak with his national team, he overcame countless obstacles. He experienced fear, doubt, and criticism, yet he never let these challenges define him. Instead, he used them as fuel to grow, to work harder, and to dream bigger. Every struggle taught him lessons that led to triumph. And this is a lesson that extends far beyond football. The path to success is never easy, but persistence, patience, and belief in yourself can turn challenges into opportunities. For anyone watching, Messi's story is a mirror. If a small boy from a modest family in Rosario could rise to global greatness, then what is stopping you? What dreams do you hold that feel too big, too far, or too impossible? The same courage and determination that Messi showed can guide you. Learning English, building new skills, or pursuing any passion requires similar commitment. You will face difficulties. You will make mistakes. You will encounter people who doubt you. But just as Messi persisted, you too can keep moving forward, step by step, day by day. Messi also teaches the importance of balance. While he devoted his life to football, he never lost sight of relationships, values, and joy outside the game. He reminds us that ambition should coexist with kindness, humility, and gratitude. Success is most meaningful when shared, and achievements feel greatest when they inspire others. By following Messi's example, learners can see that personal growth is not only about reaching goals, but about becoming someone who uplifts others along the way. So as we reflect on Messi's legacy, the message is clear. Talent can take you far, but heart, courage, and perseverance take you further. He transformed obstacles into opportunities, doubt into determination, and dreams into reality. His story is a living proof that no matter where you start, your potential is limitless if you refuse to give up. And now, as you continue on your own journey, whether learning English, pursuing a dream, or facing a challenge, remember Messi's path. Small beginnings do not limit big futures. Failures do not define your story. Every effort, every practice, every step forward brings you closer to your goals. If Messi could rise from nothing to achieve greatness, so can you. Keep believing, keep learning, and keep moving forward. Lionel Messi's life is more than a football story. It is a guide, a motivation, and a testament to human potential. Carry this inspiration with you. Face your challenges with courage. Pursue your passions with dedication. Celebrate your victories with humility. And never ever give up, because the boy who once kicked a worn-out ball in the streets of Rosario shows us all that dreams can come true when heart and effort meet. Messi's story reminds us that greatness is not only about trophies, records, or fame. It is about rising after every fall, believing when others doubt, and working hard even when the dream feels far away. So, my friend, as you close this story and return to your own journey, carry this truth with you. If Messi could start small and reach the very top of the world, then nothing is impossible for you. Keep learning, keep practicing, keep believing. One step at a time, you are building your own story of success. And who knows, maybe one day the world will be inspired by your journey, just as we are inspired by Lionel Messi, because dreams are not only for legends, dreams are for you.